Welcome to Unruly 3, father of 3 unruly kids.
I'm not really.
So this time I'm going to make a Spectraply bowl. I had some pieces sitting around, and I saw on Mike C. Woods Designs, his YouTube channel, I saw that he made a bowl, and it turned out pretty amazing, so I thought I would make one. And so the first thing I did is I found this piece of maple that had just really great figure on it. I'm trying to find the middle here. I'm using a 2 16 inch Forstner bit here to get this mounted onto my wood lathe. So the first thing I'm doing with this is I'm just going to make it round, and I'm going to square off the bottom. That way I can go ahead and start putting on my layers, or start cutting my layers. So once I get it round, I go ahead and turn it to the other side, and I just make this flat. So I'm going to make the bowl, the edge of this flat, where I'm going to glue the layers on, but then I'm going to go ahead and make the bottom a little bit concave, a little bit rounded part. That way when I don't have to stick my tools so far in later on when I'm doing the bowl. But because this is such a figured piece of wood, there is quite a bit of tear out, so a little bit of sanding involved into this one. So this is a new tool. I haven't used this too much. I'm not really sure how it's supposed to work, but I'm getting the hang of this little sander. I like it quite a bit. It's nice sticking it inside the bowls so that you don't have your hand, holding onto a piece of sandpaper in there. And then I take that piece of maple over to my planer just to get it down to the right thickness. So I have a piece of this maple, then I'm also going to run through this piece of walnut. I'm going to use maple, walnut, and the Spectraply. I think the Spectraply pieces are called Buckskin. I got them at Woodcraft, and I think they're $7.99 per piece, and I ended up having to use 3 different pieces. So here I'm just cutting the maple and the walnut to size. So I think I use 1.5 inch thickness when I make my bowls. That way I know that I can go ahead and take off a little bit without having to worry about getting too far. So I use the perfect miter block setup by Rockler to get those. And then with this one I'm just going to go ahead and make 8 pieces. And I want to make sure that they fit onto my bowl for my first layer. Perfect. Alright, here's the Spectraply. So after I cut it, I have to rotate it again because I want it to be... So I cut it, and then I have to cut a small piece off because I want them all to have the black edge on the outside. So here's what I was thinking about it. So with this one, I actually only got 2. So I have to be really careful because I need 8 total pieces. So you have to make sure that I cut these waste pieces just super thin so I can fit them in there. And this last one just does make it. And make sure that the Spectraply is going to fit. So I like this buckskin because it actually has 3 different layers in it. A lot of the pieces that you get at Woodcraft, like the blue one and the red one, they actually only have like 2 different colors in them. So I like this one because there's 3 layers. So when you do start carving it onto the wood lathe, just adds a little bit more pop to it. My brother's visiting from Montana, so I'm showing him how to do this. We actually make another bowl after this one, so I'll have another video of one of these. With that one, we actually use the red, and we use some mahogany and some walnut. And the darker woods together look pretty good. I like the walnut and the maple because it just has a little bit more of a pop to it, but the other one with the dark colors look really good too. And then I'm just kind of sanding them, getting rid of any burrs or anything, so when I glue these up, it has a nice something to grip to. And then once I got them all sanded, it's okay to start gluing these up. So there were a couple pieces of this Spectraply that had maybe one of the colors, they were in a different order. So right here I'm trying to figure out how to separate them out, and I really didn't, because there was 3 of them that had different colors with 8 pieces. It wasn't like I could make some kind of pattern. So then I just finally decided to put them in there. But yeah, they didn't match up. One has the dark color, then the brown, then the white, and the rest of them were all black, white, and then the brown, then black. So it was weird that one of them was different than the other ones. And then I'm going to go ahead and sand on these guys a little bit and then glue them up. And after they're all sanded, I'm going to glue them together. So this is the walnut piece. I think I have these at 1/2 inch. The maple is at 1 inch. And then the Spectraply is 1.5 inch. So kind of following the golden rule, golden measurement for woodworking. The 2 plus the 1/2 plus the 1 inch equals the 1.5 inch. And then I'm going to use the base here to hold that down, and then put my rubber band on. Try to clamp it up. I have some pipe clamps. I just always forget to grab them. So I have the rubber band sitting right there. So I just start doing this, and then after I do it, I think, oh, I should have grabbed those pipe clamps and use those instead. But and then I sand the maple pieces just like I did. Sand them all around. And then I'm going to glue them up. So this maple has a ton of figure on it. It's super pretty once it gets the finish on it. This is going to be the top ring. So this is the last ring I have to do. And then I have my base down. I'm going to glue this walnut down onto it. And then my Spectraply. And then I have another piece of walnut that's going to go. And then my last piece of maple on the top. Then I have a big anvil that I put down for weight. Man, let that dry. And bring it off, and it's ready to put on the wood lathe. So now I'm just trying to get the edges here, start getting them rounded down. might go ahead and start working on the inside of this bowl now. This is probably always the scariest part. I like doing the outside first. That way it kind of will run, not wobble too much. But sometimes sticking these tools inside these bowls can be a little bit scary, especially if you get a catch or something. But luckily I didn't have any catches. This went pretty smooth. I was using my carbide tools that I got for Father's Day, and that Spectraply is just super cool once those layers start to show on there. So again, like pretty much everything, this bowl here is actually a gift that my wife wanted me to make for her boss. So I started making this bowl for her boss, and then once my wife sees it, then all of a sudden she wants one. So it's kind of, I think that happens with every single one of my projects. Is my wife, after she sees one, then she wants one. So each project actually ends up being a double. So I ordered some more of the Buckskin Spectraply, but I really enjoy these bowls. I just don't have any more of this really figured maple, so I'm gonna have to figure out what other I'm gonna use. I have other maple, just not stuff with such a good figure on it. So there, after I got everything done, I'm using my new sander that I got a little while ago again. Thing works pretty slick. And then on the outside, I like to use my Orville sander. I think just makes really quick work of the sanding. I have my vacuum hooked to it, so a lot of the dust kind of gets sucked up there. There was a couple. Well, I do need to get some dust collection on my wood lathe. I've talked about this a couple times. Get something on the back that will pick up some of that finer stuff. So I do have a couple. I did have a couple voids on this, but I just used some sawdust and some glue and filled those in pretty good. And then after I get all my sanding done, going through the grits, I went all the way up to 220, sprayed it with water, and then hit it again with 220. Then I'm going to use my favorite finish, this Deft clear wood finish. And look how beautiful that is. And let that dry. This Deft finishes, dries pretty quick. Within 15 minutes, you can go ahead and put your next coat on. And here it is when it's all finished. Turned out really good. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. And stay tuned to the red one.